I got some of my light on me. Okay, we're gonna roll with it. What's up, guys? So I bought this recently for a wedding that my wife and I were double shooting. And this is the R2 Zoom Flashpoint. This is technically the Godox V1 Pro. I bought the Flashpoint version because my Godox version was not in stock. So I had to figure out what other flash I could use with the same receivers and blah, blah, blah. So I went with the Flashpoint because it's what I can tell, it's the same thing. And that's what I've been told. Oh, Godox is the same as the Flashpoint, so sweet. So this was in stock. I think I bought it for $330. That's without tax. And I just noticed on online that it's actually $299 right now, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I just bought it a few weeks ago. But anyways, I needed 2 flashes, so whatever. I'm gonna compare it to the V1. I guess this would be an okay comparison. I don't know. This is technically a V1 Pro. Whatever. This is the V1S normal, OG. But so far from the differences that I've noticed, this baby's much, much faster. One thing I do like about this is interchangeable batteries, because I was worried about that. I didn't know if they're gonna have a new battery or something. So I looked online and they're interchangeable. So you can take your Godox V1 battery and stick it in your Godox V1 Pro or R2 Zoom. Awesome. There is also one thing that I like about standby mode is that when you go in standby mode, the camera can actually wake it back up. For some reason, this did not happen with the Godox version. So when it goes back in the standby mode, it just won't shoot until you wake it back up. So then you have to actually hit a button on it, or turn it off and turn it back on is what I normally do, which is annoying. And also does that with being onto the X2. If you're putting it on top of this guy and you have other flashes around, sometimes that happens as well on this, which is, again, annoying. So that part works on the Flashpoint. The next thing I like about this, off camera, I usually run one receiver on my camera and then put this somewhere to get some like contrasty shots. If I want some light coming in from the side or whatever, I put this in. So I usually give this to my assistant and then she holds it somewhere and it shoots off camera, and then you have some really cool shots. And usually I have to do that pretty quick because, you know, during a wedding, you have to move pretty fast sometimes, and you don't have much time to, you know, fiddle with something if it's broke or doesn't work. That part works. The Godox does not work. For some reason, the V1 normal edition, V1S, it doesn't work. It'll shoot for like 10 shots and it'll just shut off. And then I have to completely reset everything. You have to completely take it off, put it back on, delete, blah, 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 just to make it work again. I'm not sure if this is the version that I got, if there's some type of bug in this guy, because I've noticed the send and receive mode is not very reliable. Actually, it's not reliable at all. I wouldn't use it with this one unless if you're only doing 1 or 2 shots and then going back to just normal mode and putting this back on your camera. So for off-camera flash, I don't recommend the Godox V1. I recommend Flashpoint, R2 Zoom, or the V1, the Godox V1 Pro. I'm not sure why it doesn't work on the Godox, but I have had 0 problems out of this guy on my A7 IV. So that tells me that it's the flash's problem, not my camera's connection or something else weird. I feel like it's the flash because I shot an entire wedding on this thing. It didn't miss a beat, and it was so much faster than this one. I like to take as much available friction that can happen on a wedding day and cut it out. Like, I want to cut the fat off as much as possible. This was, you know that one steak that's like It's really nice on one side, and then you have that big fat on the end. You're like, okay, I'll keep some of the fat, but I cut most of it off. This is what I'm talking about. It's not lean enough for me. I like fat, don't get me wrong. I like one fat steak. I'm all for it. But in this case, you're gonna be thinking to yourself, is it gonna go off? Is it gonna go off? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? I hate that. So anytime that happens, I try to get rid of it or try to put it in a scenario where it doesn't really matter. So this goes on my second shooter's camera, and now the Flashpoint goes onto the main shooter's camera. So that's like the main issue that's like the biggest issue. They both work. It's just how much fiddling around with it do you want to have during a wedding? I don't want to fiddle. I want something that just works constantly, just work. I already have problems with my camera just randomly shutting off. I don't want to have to think about you know what I mean? If I have to be ready for that and then also be ready for this, something's wrong. So yeah, so I have to either upgrade. I was reluctant to kind of try these again. I know like ProPhoto and all these there's some other options out there. And I was like, I'll give Godox or Flashpoint one more try. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll go somewhere else, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it's not reliable, it's not reliable, especially in wedding scenarios. But so far, I shot a full day on this, no problem. This sub flash, I didn't get to use as much. I think it's really cool. I didn't get to use. I use either bouncing the flash off the ceiling or shooting direct on. So that kind of takes. So I was doing basically that job. See, you don't want these two flashing at the same time. So I guess the point is like the bounce, and then also has a direct flash to make it look kind of retro-y. I know I do that a lot in my photos. Some cool newer features I think I like a lot are the metal shoe that goes to your camera. So that's very welcoming, because the Godox version is somewhat metal, but mostly plastic. Nice, upgraded, sweet. And then the battery port, which is kind of cool. On the side, I'm not sure if you can see that. My monitor just went out, so I can't tell if you can see that. But there's a USB-C charging port here. Thank you. Every battery that I have should have this option, period. Because what if you lose your charger? You have to go buy no charger. It's like all these companies that, I want to go green. They always have their own charging. Every battery is different. Every charging base is different. And so it's just ridiculous. Why don't you just make a USB-C, put it inside, make it charge from there, and you'd be done with it. But okay, I digress. Godox V1, not a bad choice if you're in a low stakes environment, in my opinion, or if you don't do a lot of off-camera flash. This has no problem just being on top of my camera and just going all day. It's completely fine. The problem is when you put your receiver on top of your camera, in my case, my A7 IV, and then I give this to someone or put it somewhere for dynamic lighting, and it doesn't work. Why? I don't know. I think it's the connection here, because I don't have a problem with this one. That's my opinion. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen to everyone's. Maybe it's just my version, but I am very curious to see if anyone else has had this problem with off-camera flash with the receiver on the camera and someone else holding it. Have you had a problem? It just shuts off and I have to completely reset everything, and it's frustrating. So I stopped doing it and just using my 80-200 off camera. That was more reliable. That is not reliable. Yeah. Good luck. Hopes this helps.